What's going on, everybody? Hey, super excited. Got my good friend. It's been quite a little bit of time since we've been able to connect, but excited to have you with me today. I know we've been talking about doing something like this for a while, so I'm pumped.
I've been seeing all of your posts. I've been wanting to catch up. I've
Hey.
been seeing you're busy.
Hey, I'm trying to get like you, stay busy, bouncing around the country. Or really, as we talked about a little bit earlier before we got on, is I think you're even traveling worldwide. Potentially, I can't remember at one point, when you were doing more of like your business consulting. But I'm super excited to obviously hear more about like your story. I think, one of the biggest messages, that I, preach within the kids, the families, the athletes and everything is like being able to create that own reality that you want. So many of us we don't take that time to really sit down and think about like what our own dreams are, what our own visions is. We kind of get caught in the rat race of life of, going to school, graduating college, getting a job. And the next thing you know, you got like kids and a house and bills to pay and all sorts of wild and crazy things. So yeah, like if you want to touch on, I know to share like just a little bit of our backstory, how we know each other. And then, let's dive in because I definitely want to hear more about how things are going, how it got started, and like how you're continuing to just absolutely just grow wildly.
Yeah. So first of all, again, thanks for having me. Thanks for setting this up. This is fun. It's been a wild ride. The past year has been honestly something that I never could have imagined in a million years. Like you said, the past 10 years, I have been a business consultant, which has been an incredible career. Wouldn't change it for the world, but it's allowed me to be able to truly understand what business owners go through, what their challenges are, what it takes to truly get them from point A to point B. And it's been honestly super fulfilling to have this as a background to understand other people's vision, and me being able to have the opportunity to go in and help them reach it. So it could not have been a better foundation for me to be able to take what I've known over the past 9 to 10 years and really truly implement it for my own business. But yeah, Mama Mitchell's Pound Cake has been truly a passion project. There's no doubt about that.
So how'd you get it? How'd you end up winding up getting in kind of the consulting world?
Yeah. So a little bit of background with you and I. For the people that might not know, we went to high school together. And we were on the same cheerleading squad.
I was going to say, you could go ahead and say it. You can put me on blast to the world.
Okay, so no, but we had a mutual friend, Andrea Tack.
Yeah.
And she is actually the one who I saw traveling all over, consulting. And at some point, I think I texted her, emailed her and said, look, I'm really interested. I see what you do every day. I've really never really left the South, and I think that it would be a great opportunity while I'm young to travel and see the world. So she got me in touch with my company. I interviewed, and 10 years later, I am still traveling and still consulting part-time in order to, grow Mama Mitchell's. But she was actually the one who really got me started with.
And how long did you do that?
So it's been 9 years. So
oh, wow.
I've personally trained, I think, over 900 privately owned medical and dental practices since 2012.
Sheesh. So I owe you money today.
No, not at all.
So you're out, I think you were bouncing around all over the country. I think you told me previously, that you were in Atlanta for a while. Obviously, you're from Birmingham. I think you moved back there for a short stint. And now you're in Arizona, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm in Scottsdale.
How did that all kind of come together? What's your fave? Which area do you like the most?
Oh, God, that's a really good question. So when I first started consulting, I moved in 2012 to Atlanta. And then in the end of 2019 is when I moved out here to Scottsdale. I'd always loved the area. I'd come out here a couple times for vacation, knew I loved it. And it was an opportunity to be able to kind of grow the West Coast region. And so I jumped at the opportunity, moved out here. And honestly, there was a lot of personal things that had happened in 2019. Really, I mean, I lost 4 family members in 2019, and it just really took a toll, I think, emotionally. And I don't know, it was something inside of me that just needed to, I just needed to experience something different. And so I took the opportunity, I moved out here, and it's incredible. This is an amazing place, the community, the people. I love Scottsdale, so very happy here. I see myself here for quite a while. So that's
hell, though.
Been.
It's hot as hell, though.
It is hot. Yes, it is. When I first moved out here, it was actually the hottest summer on record that Arizona had ever had. So, yeah.
So let's go, because I think that this is when kind of everything started to take a turn for you. Is once you got out to Arizona. You mentioned that you had several family members passing, and obviously once you got out there, like I don't want to get into the whole thing, but that's kind of when the shutdown and everything happened, and you knew you were kind of craving something different. And I think this is like a big piece of the puzzle. I want people to take away is you had started to have these thoughts, you started to have these dreams, you started to have this vision of something different. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more like about that dream, about that vision, what it was, and then kind of how did you take those initial steps to actually act upon it?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, kind of taking you back to 2019, it was May of 2019 when I lost Mama Mitchell. And as everybody knows, hopefully at this point, she took up a huge part of my heart. I mean, she truly was a very influential person in my life. And it was in that moment by her bedside that I told myself, I don't know exactly what it is just yet, but I knew then that I was going to do something in my life to honor who she was, her legacy, what she meant to people, and just how she loved everybody. And so it was when COVID happened. I was out here in Arizona and the shutdown pulled me off the road. And it was the first time being home for that amount of time in honestly 9 years. I mean, I had literally been living out of a suitcase every single week for 9 years. And to come to a halt and know that you're home for, 3.5 to 4 months, that's when the dream and the thought of doing something with Mama Mitchell's legacy really started to come alive. I started thinking about it every day at night, and the wheels started spinning. Mm-hmm. And I knew for sure the pound cake recipe was there. I mean, it had been in our family for years. It was always on the counter, always my birthday cake, always something that I just remember her always having, making for people. And I was home, so I had some time to start baking, and I started making the pound cake again. And I was taking it to, birthday parties out here. And I started kind of, making it for friends and having them try it, and they loved it. And so that's when I told myself, look, this is my window. If I'm going to start something, now's the time. And so in the middle of the pandemic, I filed for my business license, and my first initial plan was to just start selling on Saturdays at the farmer's market. And that's what I did. So I was packing up my wagon, making all the cakes on Fridays in between my travel job. And on Saturdays, I was setting up, standing there again in 120-degree weather with a mask on, sharing the story about Mama Mitchell. And it was just something, it was a calling. It truly was. And it was something that just kept telling me, keep going, don't stop. This is a story worth sharing, and the product is delicious. So the word, started spreading. I started getting more more and more customers. I started selling out on a lot of the farmers market days. And honestly, it was true fulfillment. Being able to watch people eat her pound cake, try this recipe, and an opportunity to share with people who she was, I knew that is what I was supposed to do. And that I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's kind of when things started taking a turn.
So what was it? So obviously, people who know me, people who follow me, is like two of the biggest, I think, messages or themes that I'm constantly preaching is the ability to have that confidence in yourself. And that can be, a multitude of things, whether that's just, being confident in who you are as a person, being confident in like just looking in the mirror and loving yourself for like who you are, being confident to go after those goals and dreams and aspirations. But also on the other side of it is that like identity, like figuring out, like I always say is like two of the most important questions that most people struggle to answer is who am I? And is this really who I want to be? And so like backing up is, and you can answer them kind of in either order, but I think is like, what was that confidence in you of being able to like, hey, screw it, I'm starting this right here, right now. It doesn't matter by any means necessary. This is something that I'm going to go after. And then number two is I would be interested in knowing kind of like, because it's something I challenge a lot of the kids with and family members and parents and everybody. Like, what does confidence mean to you? Because I think we all have our own definitions. I think it's a really cool buzzword and it attracts people in because most people love man, I want to be more confident. I want to be that. But nobody can really put their finger on it per se because they really haven't identified, like given it an actual definition for themselves.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that to answer your first question, it was terrifying. It was a vulnerable position to be in, to put your heart out there and wear your heart on your sleeve. I mean, for everybody to see. I had no idea how successful this was or wasn't going to be.
Right.
But on June 20th, 2020 is when I made it Facebook and Instagram official that I had started this business. And for me, knowing the type of person that I am, if anybody knows anything about Colby, it's an assessment. I'm a quick start. And I'm also a 3 on the Enneagram, which is the achiever. So I personally, I feel like it's ingrained in me to constantly be thinking about the future and what's next. I very, very rarely sit and think about the past.
Right.
And so for me, it was, knowing that I had a legacy worth sharing and the love that was so deep for her. I think that was for sure what gave me, I guess you could say, the confidence to know that the person that this brand represents is no doubt worth chasing.
Right.
As each day went on, and I can tell you for sure, every little word of encouragement, every single person that has been there with me along this journey, I see you, I hear you, it goes so far. So again, I was in uncharted waters for sure. Jumping out on a limb, taking a leap of faith with starting this, but every day, those little words of encouragement, I think, continue to build your confidence, and it makes me keep chasing what I truly feel is going to be an incredible thing. I do have a vision. I have a mission, to bring people together again around the table with her recipe. And I think everybody can really relate to that. I think it's the joy of family, honoring people's history. And she was happiest when people were around her table. And so if I can continue that and have her pound cake shipping out across the country, showing up on people's tables, it's a pretty remarkable feeling. And I think that's what keeps pushing me every day. Is every day easy? Absolutely not. Have I had complete breakdowns. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that I don't think I don't know if you just have the confidence, but it certainly gets more, I mean, over time.
Yeah, I think there's a certain sense. Well, and then I also believe like it's almost like when you're getting going is like the ignorance and the naiveness of everything is almost to your benefit because you're like, I don't know, I'm just gonna try this and see what the hell happens. Like, and then you're like, oh, whoa, that was a bad move. I need to back up. I need to flip this. I need to do this. I need to figure all this out. Like, oh wait, I was supposed to call that person. Oh, like, and so you just kind of like it just develops on its own, and as kind of everything unfolds.
So I've actually been reading a really, really great book. It's called, on the topic of this, it's called Dream First, Details Later.
Okay.
So it's by Ellen Marie Bennett, How to Quit Overthinking and Make It Happen. So you're never going to have it fully figured out. And what I have learned is you just got to start. Just start. Yeah. You will figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
Yes, some people say you need a business plan. You need to make sure that you've got your 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, somewhat mapped out, which I do, but still every day is different. And I think if you have my mentor, Carrie Morey, said, if you've got passion, product, and packaging, then those are 3 really important things.
Yeah. So what does that like confidence, like if you had to, whether it's I don't know, maybe you can sum it up in kind of like one word or a statement, or like, what does that mean to you? Just, I guess, really as a person.
I think it's belief in yourself and, looking at your strengths, identifying your weaknesses, but also, being able to, embrace the challenge. For me, I enjoy a challenge. I enjoy strategically trying to figure out a better way around something, a better mousetrap. Being in the business consulting world for so long, when I show up, in an office, I am constantly listening to what are their barriers, what are their frustrations, what are the things that they need to figure out, what's a better way around it. And so I think that is something every day that, whether it's just how I'm wired, if there is some problem or something that, I can figure out, I embrace that. I actually enjoy, wanting to get to the next step, and what are the things that have to happen in order to be able to get to where I want to be. So for me, this is a journey, it's a challenge, but every little accomplishment along the way that you can check off and be able to say, okay, that's done, and now we're on to the next thing, and then you can check that off. You've got to celebrate your wins along the way. That's for sure. So mental toughness along this journey, you've got to be able to tell yourself, you got to do some pep talks, because it can sometimes be lonely at the top. It's true. It has just been me so far. So celebrating little tiny wins throughout the day, those are important too.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan on the celebrating. I think that obviously the people that follow me is it's almost like a weekly or monthly reminder in terms of being able to actually embrace those things, not to just let them pass by. And so I'm very, very, very intentional about what it is that I want to do. If X happens, then I'm going to do Y, right? Whatever that celebration is. It might be a dinner, it might be a beer. I don't really know. Everything kind of, I grade them on different levels. As it's smaller, it might just be enjoy takeout, right? Or something much bigger. And I really challenge, the kids in here too, is with the same things. It's don't just give me goals. Don't just give me dreams. It's let's enjoy these along the way. Cool, great. Now, how are we going to enjoy these? What are we going to do to move these along the way, or to continue to progress along the way. So yeah, no, hey, so guys, if you're joining us live, put in the comments section, drop in there, team live. If you're liking this, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section as well. Would love to get questions and feedback from you guys. Seth Burgett, bet you $1,000 those K's are better looking than Ryan. From Tyler, crushing it. Congrats on all your success. So cool. Glad you guys are finding some value. Continue to pop in there. Let us know if you have questions. I would love to, like I said, hear from you guys. So
all my Sweet Home Alabama friends.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're like, what are people from Arizona? I'm a Texan now. Like we're just in our own world.
So Ryan, not to put, I want to hear about you. I mean, what you've been able to do is truly, remarkable. And, for you to be able to be a mentor for these kids and, to get them to understand the importance of setting goals, and to build their confidence at such a young age. I feel like, whether it's high school years or college, whatever, I think for you to be in that position is very fulfilling. I mean, people really talk about what is that true feeling of fulfillment and your purpose. I think that at the end of the day, it's doing something for others is what is truly, fulfilling. Whether it's at the end of the day, you can say, wow, that was a great conversation, or that was a really good moment of growth for that person, or, seeing that person enjoy their cake, with their family, and it was a really special, moment for them. Whatever it is, that's truly, what it's about.
Yeah, no, and I think too is I totally agree with you. And I think like the next step for me too is I'm trying to do it in other areas of my life, but it's really practicing what I preach too. And I think a lot of that is as I teach these kids to, a lot about self-care and personal development and creating their own identity and defining who they are as a person. And, we can dive into this too, but, finding or developing like what their passion is and getting out there and experimenting in the world. Cause I firmly believe that like, that's how you learn things in life, like through actual experiments or experience.
Not taught in school, that's for sure.
Right. No. And so that's like constant, especially the older ones, even middle school. I'm like, dude, like go out and just like, whether even it's a 2-week job or internship or practice, like if you think you enjoy it, go out and try it. Cause you might come back and be like, oh my God, I freaking hate this. Or you might come back and like, man, I really want to dive deep and learn what this is about and like figure these things out. But that's not it. It is kind of ingrained and hardwired in us to believe that, as we go out and we go through school, that we just pick this major or we pick this degree. Yeah. And this is how we're supposed to live like the rest of our lives without genuinely experiencing it. So I say that to say too is much.
It's never too late. I think it's never too late to pivot or make a change, right?
Agreed.
I'll be 35 in November. I'll go ahead and say it. And I'm not married. I don't have kids yet. And for me, I think that's okay. That is okay. If this, business is my baby right now. And that's what I'm super passionate about, growing and seeing, where it can go. I think it's encouraging for people, to realize if and when, that idea comes for you, like go for it.
I 100% agree. And then I think kind of going back to what you were saying before too is really making sure, and this has become a little bit of a priority for me, like here as of recently too, is like making sure that I'm doing those same things like for myself as well, right? Like it's a good feeling to like empower others and have those conversations and be able to witness the light bulb go off in their own minds of where they come back and they're like, oh my God, like that I was lowballing myself. I can create this, or I can do this, or I can, like, it's not me telling them. Cause I think that's a lost art, especially just really in the coaching industry. It doesn't necessarily have to be sports world. Is like somebody's like, oh, here's my goals. And usually they're like, oh, this is all you want to do. Like, you can do so much more, versus like, no matter what, even if it's a low ball, if I feel like they're lowballing themselves, it's like, cool, great goal. Because I know as we work together and we have those conversations, they're going to come back in a month and be like, no. I think I can do more. I'm like, really? Tell me about this. Like, how much further do you think you can go? And so for that's such the theme, is creating their own identity. But for me is it's doing the same for myself, right? Not only creating that identity and creating that balance in my own life of outside of work too. It's I know, like, the last like 3 weeks, my mentors like really challenged me on like it was hard. Like, actually it was like define fun. Like, what does fun mean? And I was like, oh God, I don't know, because everything was so work related. Everything was revolved around like serving others, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there is that balance of like, how do you serve yourself to outside? Because even things that I were doing fun was really about like reading, meditating, like doing all those things is really about kind of serving the business and growing, those around me, versus like, what can you do 100% for yourself?
Right.
And so I think that's wildly important for people to understand. And for like the little ones, it's like, I challenge them, to block out fun things for them too, like schedule them, like ask your parents if you and Billy can go to Six Flags in like a month, right? Like, schedule those things out. That's important to
I think it's being intentional, right? So the calendar is so important, and making sure that you have, those planning days of when you're working on the business, and then the days where I am actually producing the product, doing the baking, doing the shipping. But then also looking at my calendar on, when is my day of rest? When am I actually taking the time to focus on me? Because again, it's really hard to keep going and keeping up with everything if you don't take time to just rejuvenate, recharge. So it's important. Again, I think it's just being intentional with the calendar.
Yeah. And that's probably like my biggest challenge now is I've become really good at scheduling, but I've been doing it backwards, right? I put everybody else first, and then I figure out, okay, where do I fit in, versus saying like at the beginning on, let's call it Sunday, at the beginning of the week, like, here's my time blocks. Okay, now everybody else has to revolve around what my time blocks are. And I've started to do a little bit better job of that, because then before, like, I mean, there were days where I would go from like literally 6:30 to almost 9, like on the hour, session, group. And I didn't have anything to do for myself that day, versus if at the beginning of the week, let's call that a Tuesday, if Tuesday 12 to 1 was my time, then like sorry, you got to come Wednesday or you got to come Monday.
Is yours every day? You're at Underground Performance Institute every day, and you've got blocked out courses with the
so it's not I was going 7 days. I've bumped it down to 6, where I just go Monday through Saturday and then Sundays. And I try to do as much as I can, like half days on Saturdays, and just pushing people. Sometimes it's difficult, but like, I don't know, I guess maybe I'm just too full of energy and I'm just all the time.
Oh, I knew that in high school, so you were a ball of energy. I mean, that's for sure. Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about, because you mentioned, and this is like, I mean, it's literally on my sign out front. It's on the door. It's like everything, like from moment one, when a parent calls me, is like, I'm as upfront as possible. I'm like, look, if you're just looking for a place to work out, or you're looking for your child to build strength or just get better at sports, then I'm probably not the place for you, because here's what I really do. That's the platform. And that whole theme for me can kind of be summed up in the idea of like mentorship. And so I know when we jumped on before and you mentioned earlier too, that you had a mentor. So I really want to hear more about that, and, how you found that, how that transpired, the value that it's provided you.
Yeah.
You know, if it's just business, cool. If it's affected your personal life, I'd love to hear that, because I think that that's such a central theme in life.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that was probably one of the first things that I knew I needed. How it panned out was something that I never could have imagined. But with my mentor specifically, I had watched her journey for years, well before the true thought of starting Mama Mitchell's Pound Cake had really even entered my mind. But Carrie Morey, she is the owner of Callie's Hot Little Biscuits down in Charleston. There's one in Atlanta.
Shout out.
Yeah, and she has multiple locations, but what she has done over the past 15 years to grow her business that started because of her mom, is truly unbelievable. And when I started the business, it was probably 3 months in. I knew that I was needing some type of advice, reaching out to someone who has gone down this path way before me. And she was the very first person that I thought of and reached out to. So it was on Instagram.
You didn't know her, like, you didn't know anything. It was
no, we had never spoken. I had never, really had a reason up until now to
you
really
reached out, like, email, Instagram, Facebook.
A message on Instagram.
Yeah.
So messaged her, briefly kind of told her that I had been following her journey for many, many years, and it was remarkable what she's been able to do. And briefly told her, about me starting Mama Mitchell's Pound Cake. I think I had maybe like 100 followers on Instagram. So she looked at my page. It was probably like, I don't know, a couple pictures.
Who the hell is this?
Yes. Who is this girl? So I briefly kind of touched on what I had started and the story behind it. And it wasn't even an hour. I mean, she reached back out and she was like, this is amazing. This is what, such a great story. I would be more than willing to schedule a call for us to hop on the phone. So I'm like, jumping up and down. And we scheduled a call. It was a couple days later, I think maybe a week later, but she gave me an hour of her time. And I just asked her questions, and, she was incredibly helpful. And so I knew that I was going down to Charleston because I knew that I was wanting to eventually get a website and I wanted to launch that. And so it was a couple months later when I reached out again and let her know that I was coming down there for the photo shoot for the website. And she said, well, stop by, you come by, see the bakery. I'll walk you through, we can chit chat. And fast forward up until now, she provided me an opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, she featured Mama Mitchell's Pound Cake on her brand new show, How She Rolls on PBS. And I've said it a million times, it's never going to sink in that actually happened.
Yeah.
I mean, for her to have taken me under her wing and put me on her show was a huge, huge turning point for the business. And I am forever grateful. I still, email her every so often. There was a big question that I had a couple weeks ago, and she kind of helped, talk me through it. So just to have that person that you can bounce ideas off of, who's been there, who's done it. And she always said, if I can help you not make some of the big mistakes or some of the challenges that I faced when I first started, that's what I'm here for. And honestly, what I have also realized is this world of entrepreneurs is almost like one big family. I mean, there are so many connections that I have made where they are more than willing to go out on a limb for you, help you, send you information, whatever it may be. I mean, I have a list of people that I've been able to reach out to just the past couple of weeks that it's like, it doesn't even faze them. I mean, they are ready to help in a heartbeat. And so it's an interesting community of small business owners that I think you come across, and the doors just, they keep opening. It's like this one person can help you with this. And then it's truly, I mean, it's really incredible. So
Yeah, no, I'm like, if when people reach out to me, it's funny, I've had more people reach out to me since I've been out here in Texas the past year, to have conversations like that, just in
Yeah.
guidance of like getting something going, or, hey, what do I do with this thought, this dream, this vision, whatever it is. And like that, like, I know most people ask, like, hey, like, if you can give me one piece of advice, like, what would that piece of advice be? I'm like, go get a mentor. Like, hands down, like, number one is that, like, 1/2, 1A, 1B is some idea of like personal growth and development. But I think that even a mentor kind of falls into that. But I think that that is like the biggest mistake so many people make, because like we're living in a time where everything's constantly changing, right? Whether it's marketing, whether whatever it is, right? Like everything's shifting so fast, and it's almost impossible to be able to like keep up with everything if you have this big dream of scaling and growing and doing really powerful or impactful things. To be able to have somebody that's like, it's kind of a cheat code, right? It's kind of like, hey, like here's what I've seen, here's what I do, here's what I would suggest.
Yeah, it's like it's a shortcut. It's a way to avoid the time that it might have taken you to get there. You can get there much faster.
Right. Yeah, and I think too is at least more so in, I think, my industry, kind of the sports performance world too, is it's let's be blunt, it's kind of BS, right? Like so many, like you hear all the coaches in the world, think about it, like you were involved in sports too. It's like almost every coach is like, we're trying to make better young men and young women. Like this is the goal. And then it's like, every conversation we have is solely about performance. It's solely about winning. It's solely about losing. It's solely about how to become a better athlete. It's solely about how do we get stronger. Like that is 99.9% of the conversations that we have, that coaches and mentors in this industry like have with kids. And it's just very, it's not authentic. And so like, I think that it sounds good. It's a good buzzword. But I think being able to live it, where most people make the mistake is all they know as a coach is performance. So that's what they focus on. And they try to sprinkle in some of like the other stuff on like, give me some goals, right? Like write down 5 goals, or like they try to make it seem like they're doing those things when the reality of it,
I think that's what sets your business apart, is that you start with the mentoring and then you get them to, the athletic, the performance.
Yeah. I mean, and it to me is, it started to, is I had to be like very clear and consistent on like my messaging, right? You go to the website, it's like, yeah, you might click on speed, and then it's like all about like confidence and self-identity, right? You click on strength, and it talks about those things even on like the website. Or literally my sign out size, it literally says sports trading, confidence, and mentorship, right? Like everywhere is like, when people call me, it's like, hey, here's I know this is what you think you're calling for, but here's what I really do.
Right. It's like the inside out.
Yeah, like being able to, and like I tell them too, is the number one piece of the puzzle, I think, where like high level mentors do a really good job at, but again, it's not so much in the industry, is like step number one is like being able to like build that trust and connection. And a part of that, I think a part of that a little bit comes like naturally to me, like being around people and being able to like, I as soon as like you walk in, like, I'm like, holy shit, like I'm your biggest fan now. Like, I don't even know you yet, but I am your biggest fan. Like, I don't even know what we're about to do, but we're about to do it.
That's a gift that you have. I mean, again, going back to high school, you just have, I don't know, you have a way of just bringing energy to your room, and it's just people are drawn to being around you. And so I think that's absolutely something that you've been able to capitalize on. And people, it's a fun place to be, when you're around. So.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that, because it's like, most people, I had a kid, literally, I cannot make this up. It'd be funny if he was watching, but he's 11, so he's probably not on Facebook. He came in yesterday, like for his first time, and we're talking, and like I felt like, and after we spent like 30 or 40 minutes talking and really like diving into his life and everything, and I just listened and listened and listened, because what I was going to say before is I think number one is where most people miss the boat is like building that trust and connection. Like with some kids and parents, like you can do it in 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes longer, a week, a month, like whatever, but being able to build that trust and connection. And he goes, I was like, do you have any questions for me before we kind of go in there and just kind of see where you are, like how you lived and everything? He goes, no, but you're a really good motivational speaker. And I was like, dude, you just made my freaking day. Like, little do
you are, Mr. TED Talk. I mean, not everybody can get on that TED stage. So, seriously, that's a huge.
And then when we ended, his mom was like, hey, like, do you want to come back? She looked at him. He looked at his mom and goes, yeah. And he looked back to me and goes, you're a pretty cool guy. You know that? I was like, I appreciate that from an 11-year-old.
But again, it's like, and that's one of the like shining little moments that you can go home, you know, when you're driving home.
Affirms everything, right? Like, yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
So what are some of the stuff like that you kind of do to stay on top of like your own like personal growth and development? Obviously, I think mentorship falls into that, but what are like maybe some other things as like you continue, because you are so new to your own business world. You're not new to the business world per se, but like doing this on your own, and seeking out that knowledge and wisdom. What are kind of like some of your habits?
Gosh, I mean, again, it's truly only been what, 13 months since
a year. Yeah.
So I think for me, it is finding ways to nurture the mind, staying mentally tough, not letting.
But do you have any like practices that you do, like daily things or weekly things, or like blocks of time, like scheduling thing? We talked about scheduling a little bit, like that you do like for yourself.
Well, so I am up at 5 a.m. every single morning. And that is kind of my quiet time to have my coffee. And then on the days that I allow, if I'm not, you know, gone out of town, I do a 6 to 7 mile run every morning. And for me, that is my time when everybody's still kind of asleep, to just go. And I can think, I can put on my music, and I can really prioritize, okay, what are the most important things that I need to do today? What has to get done? And what are the things that, you know, I need to do again to continue to get the business to the next place. So I think for me, that morning run is kind of like a ritual that really keeps me just sane. Helps me just kind of organize my thoughts in the morning. And then again, you know, reading. I mean, this book has been incredible that I started, The Dream First, Details Later. So it's listening to certain podcasts that are certainly helpful. But again, it's trying to find, you know, material, whether it's books, podcasts, whatever, from people who have gone down this road. And so again, I mean, time is extremely valuable, and being able to prioritize what's most important has been, it's been a challenge. I mean, trying to, you know, make sure that I am not wasting time, and that I am staying productive and working on the areas that are truly going to move the business forward, and not getting stuck in the little details or, you know, some of the things that are just, you know, keeping me busy, not productive. And so, and we're going through, I mean, I am in the moment of the next step, truly scaling the business. So I am knee deep in a lot of
boxes. I see them behind you.
There are a lot of very big, exciting things about to happen. So again, it is.
They're all secrets, though.
Getting those people in your corner that have been there and can help you to get to this next point of growth in the business.
Yeah. So as we kind of start to like wrap things up a little bit, I got 2 questions for you, and if you have anything else like you want to ask me, I'm an open book. So
Okay.
number 1 would be is like if you could give everybody, or you could pass along to the world or people listening, even in a smaller audience, what's one message that you wish that you could pass along? You didn't know I was going to ask you in-depth questions.
It's a deep question. Honestly, I think that it is never too late, wherever and whenever that passion or that calling comes. If it's when you're 70 years old, chase it, answer it. I feel like I wouldn't say I really had a true calling and something that was so loud that I was so motivated to do until, it was after the fact that I lost Mama Mitchell that it was so blatantly obvious that I have to continue who she was. And that's when I went for it. And so I think if it is something that's in your mind that you cannot stop thinking about, and it's something that is just tugging on your heart and telling you, this, you got to do this. I mean, answer it, go for it. You're not going to have all the answers. You'll figure it out as you go. But this is certainly the road less traveled. And again, starting this at 35, I think it's just trust your gut, trust your instinct, and it'll pay off.
Yeah. So. No, that's powerful. That's good. I like that. So lastly, like what is, at least at this moment in time, like what is kind of more of like your ultimate dream, your ultimate vision? Like, how do you see this? Like, how big do you see this? How powerful do you see this? Like, as of now, because I'm sure a year ago, it was a different picture than what it is now. But if we're asking right now, like kind of more, as much as you can, because I know there's a lot going on, and some things like you can share, some things you can't share, but like as much as possible is like, what is that ultimate vision?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you would have told me that I would be where I'm at, even just now,
right,
a year ago, I would have never believed you. And so taking that, and again, we spoke about confidence earlier. I think that has really, again, motivated me to continue chasing this as big as I can take it. Again, my mission is to bring people around the table through her recipe, through her legacy. And I think that is something that everyone can relate to. I want everyone to feel welcome. I want this story to resonate, with their heart. And my vision is to make Mama Mitchell's a household name. I mean, I have a vision of, having a storefront or 2, and having this be a product that is on grocery store shelves. This is why can't it be the next Sara Lee?
Right.
I mean, having the story and a product that I also want to continue to scale. There's a lot of big things that I want to continue to do underneath the Mama Mitchell brand. And so I think it's, again, just dream big. Like, why not? Life's too short. And if you have the right people in your corner and you've got a strategic plan to make it happen, and you've got those goals clearly written out on what you want to achieve at certain milestones, why not?
Yeah. No, that's good. I like it a lot. Any questions for me as we wrap things up? I know you got a little shout out.
I mean, I think it's just, honestly, I've loved this. I've been watching your posts. I've been seeing your success. You and I have been messaging each other back and forth over the past couple of months, cheering each other on. And so, to see what you've done, I mean, you have your space. I mean, you have your building, you have, the actual storefront or whatever it is that you want to call it, right? That I am dreaming about. And so what was the feeling when you decided, hey, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to officially, right, make the investment, build my space. What is the feeling like walking into your location every day? I mean, does it ever get old parking your car and walking in knowing this is mine?
Well, I think the biggest feeling, if I had to like the immediate word that comes to mind in everything that you just talked about, like for me personally is, and it's something that I try to pass along as much as I can is having a sense of clarity, right? Like having a sense of, knowing who it is. For me, like that clarity is knowing exactly who it is I want to serve. I honestly never understood it. Actually, until I came out here to Texas, it was almost like serve everyone or like serve athletes, but like it got smaller and smaller and smaller. And my focus is like you talked about is one thing my mentor talks about is, and you're clear on it and you don't even know you're clear on it is like when you talked about that vision is like you mentioned nothing about the actual, or you mentioned very little about the actual product itself, right? It was kind of like the essence of what it was. I wrote down things
something
like
bigger than the product.
Yes, like this sense of feeling of welcomeness. It's this bringing people together. There's a joy, there's a happiness that you can witness because of what that is, right? And so for me is, as I walk in every day or as I commute here, I have a little bit of a drive. It enables me to really get clear on or remind myself on that clarity of like, hey, that person's not a good fit. Sure, you would love that $300, $500, $1,500, whatever it is. But that's not a good fit for who you are. And you potentially might dread that hour or those hours or whatever it is and having to serve them and, be around them. And ultimately that's not who it is that, I want around me, because there's so much of like a power of environment. I'm a weird person in the sense of like very like there's energy everywhere. And I think whether people as they come and go, and like I want people even as they're leaving to like give off a good sense of energy as the next one comes in. So it's this like this energy that passes to and from the door as people pass by each other and as they enter in every single day of knowing like, I don't know what it is, but like something's real weird about this place, right? Like in a good way.
It's a culture.
Right.
A culture. Yeah.
So I think that's been like the most fun and the most enjoyable part too is like I even have a reminder is like on my like whiteboard over here is like no clarity, no change, right? Like if we're not clear on what we want, like we never alter the things to help us grow, like whether that's the business, whether that's me as a person, because ultimately is the way I view it. And this is why, like, I think I'm so addicted to the, like I literally have an addiction to learning. It's probably disturbing, but like, I'm actually fearful that I'll never know enough to be able to pass along, to be able to like empower kids or families or a team or whoever I'm speaking with or whoever I'm around.
How many books do you read a month?
It depends. It depends on like, I mean, I've got one right now that's like a little thicker and a little more in depth. So it'll take me a little bit longer. But like some I can do in like 2 days. Like, I mean, I try not to worry about the number in terms of like, cause I know you see like, oh, CEOs read 60 books a year or like whatever. Like you see like, so I try not to like get like stuck on that as much as like what moves me along, because I think that fear almost drives me a little bit, because if I don't continue to grow and I continue every day to pass along little nuggets or challenge them, then at some point, if I'm not growing, then I just become redundant, right? Then they're just like,
you're in the same thing.
yeah, they're like, Mom, like Ryan's
gonna stay relevant.
Yeah, like what's next? And then I try to put myself to, I actually try to live it. Like, even like some of the books that I've read is finding groups or other people to have some accountability, understand it better, and then have some accountability. Is like, okay, what can I do this week to actually live what we just read, right? Like, what can when we circle back next Tuesday night, like, what is it that I can comment on of things that actually went well or actually didn't work out, versus, because I was like that for years too, is like just picking up a book, reading it, highlighting, like, cool, got a couple things. And I've gone back and like reread books that I read like, 4, 5, 6 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, like,
but it's like now you see it in a different light. Yeah.
So I think that's like that clarity and that consistent growth, as I walk in, is like, those are the two most probably important things. Clarity with myself, and then clarity with everyone, of like, this is who I am, this is what I do, take it or leave it.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, I'm so proud of you, and just seeing what you've done, personally, for the business, for these, for these kids, being a mentor. It's inspiring, truly. And I'm your biggest fan. Again, like I said, those words of encouragement throughout the day, just, they mean so much, I think, to people like us who are every day, continuing to chase this dream and on this journey. And so I got to make it out there. I've got to come see it.
Dude, yeah, we've definitely got to connect at some point.
Yeah.
I know and even stay in more touch with doing things like this, and just sharing stories and sharing knowledge and our own wisdom and our own experiences, to kind of keep us both accountable and like help out like with our own growth too. So I know it's kind of
full circle. And also, so I don't know who else is who's on.
I can't see you right now. But go ahead. I know you said you were feeling generous.
I'm feeling generous. So I think that we need to give away a Mama Mitchell's pound cake. So for whoever's watching, here's what you have to do. So go ahead and like Mama Mitchell's pound cake Facebook page and Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, Mama M Cakes, and comment in this chat. Just comment Mama Mitchell's. So like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, comment in this chat, Mama Mitchell's. Okay. And then lastly, if you go to the Mama Mitchell's Pound Cake website and you subscribe to our email list, that's all you have to do. And I'm going to pick a winner, and I'm going to ship a cake out to the winner on Friday.
Boom. Free cake. So lastly, to tell everybody like where they can find you and they can kind of keep up with your journey and story. Obviously all your social media, names, whatever.
Yeah. So the website's it's mamamitchells.com. That's where you can order your cake. It ships nationwide. We ship on Mondays and Tuesdays. It arrives to you in 2 days. Again, Instagram, I'm always every day, just kind of updating, where we are. And again, follow along, because there's a lot of exciting stuff that is coming down the pipeline next month. Yeah. And then Facebook, Mama Mitchell's Pound Cake. So those are kind of the places right now to
cool.
So
no, this has been awesome. I appreciate
thank you for having me.
Yeah, you giving me the hour. Hopefully everybody got as much out of it as I know that I did, and enjoyed just hearing about everyone's stories. So I appreciate it.
Ryan, you're the best.
Thanks. All right. See you, everybody.
Bye, y'all.